Hey guys, Sakat here, and I'm going to give you a breakdown of my Immolate Tornado Shot Slayer character. This is a build which I found, well, it's a combination of a build that I saw someone else doing, a build I saw Waggle doing, and we just blended stuff together. And we're going to run a little quick Ashen Woody Wood while we do it. Little TLDR. Basically, after the Magma Orb character, I want another good, just a map clear character, and that's what this is really designed for, just clearing maps really efficiently. I mostly duo with my friend, and we just do a lot of breaches. So I wanted something which was good at breach farm, and Tornado Shot makes a lot of sense for that. This can be made to boss, but this is not a bossing character. And this is also a fairly expensive character, because as a Tornado Shot build, it really wants all the extra projectiles. So as you can see, the base playstyle is have Slayer Leech. Slayer Leech keeps you nice and healthy, skip bosses, because doing bosses in relevant year, Ellie Jiggle. And you just sort of run through Tornado Shot, Tornado Shot. Wow, terrible layout for what I'm trying to demonstrate. Anyway, so you just run through Tornado Shot all the stuffs, and kind of seems good. Man. And I should have picked something better for that. We don't shatter, but as you can see, Porcues don't really touch us because we are a pretty high evasion / dodge build. And we have so much inbuilt leech and just natural sustain and regen that we're kind of okay. I don't like volatiles because I ripped my level 96 Magma Orb character to volatiles. Lol. But, because I've called it now, it's going to only get volatiles. But so far so good. The build's been quite a lot of fun. Someone's telling me to kill myself. So all seems good in the world. Let's clear up this Harbonger, and then I will go into the details of the build and kind of see how it works in action. Right. So, how is this functioning, so on and so forth. We use Tornado Shot. Okay, fair enough. We use Immolate. This is what the entire build is built around. It's all around Immolate damage. I've noticed my hair since I just got out of the shower, but it's fine. Base idea of the build is we fire lots of projectiles, we ignite an enemy once, and then every subsequent proj just does very high Ellie damage. We use Lioneyes Glare for hits cannot be evaded. We are a non-crit elemental overload build, and Far Shot. Far Shot is 30% more damage, or up to 30% more damage, depending on how far away the monster is. So this is a bow which gives us a lot of flat fizz, very good attack speed, a bunch of flat mana, because this is also a Might of a Matter build, by the way. Far Shot and hits can't be evaded. Let's just put D&D on real quick. Sorry about that. Other important things to note, we are using a +2 Tornado Shot helm. Very, very important. I was actually using just a +1 Tornado Shot for a long time. You can get +1 Tornado Shot helms for about 50-ish chaos roughly in hardcore. In softcore, they're probably much cheaper, but the main thing you want is a +2. Ideally, I would want a Devoto's Devotion because this build scales very hard with attack speed. Since this is all about getting as many projectiles as possible, the more attacks per second you have, the better the build just sort of feels. And I think I did that whole demonstration without Blood Rage, but anyway. Biscos, because Biscos is best in every build. Instead of a Biscos, you can use Zoph's Blood, or Zoph's Heart, whichever one gives you Avatar of Fire, at which point you get to drop Avatar of Fire off the tree. There is a lot of debate over which one is better. You'd say, well, surely the one which saves you skill points on the tree is better. You can get up to 100% quant depending on how good your Biscos are. Let's say you have a high roll, 85% plus or 80% plus. For 3 skill points, would you go for 80% quant? Sort of. It's not that clean because the amulet does give you some life. It does also give you some fire pen, and the 3 points could be spent on other things. But quant really is quant. If you can afford a Zoph's Heart, play around with it. I will eventually try and aim for one because it will just give me more life. But otherwise, I think Biscos is kind of just better. It also gives you access to Life in Chaos, and I really love Life in Chaos res. Other than that, nothing too fancy, just sort of rares all the way through. You do have the option of a few different chest pieces. You could go Queen of the Forest instead of a random chest. Ideally, obviously, Combs would be best since you have your main setup in your bow with a Combs Heart. They're like 15 to 20 exalts at the moment, so not too affordable for me right now. So I'm just using this Corrupted rare, which costs me like 20C. Pretty solid since it has life, it has mana on there, it has a teeny weeny bit of cold res. The links are very important, I'll get into that later, but you could use the Queen of the Forest using Essence Worm Grace. With full evasion pieces, that would actually be very good for zoom movement speed. That's what I'm eventually aiming to go for until I can afford the Combs. However, I need a 6-link before I can use the Queen. So I'm saving up for a 6-link bow. I can then swap in my queen. Until then, we're using this 6-link chest. And again, you would drop anger for grace, but you're doing it for the movement speed, so it seems worth. Essence Worm, since it's a MoM build, means you either get to use anger or grace, depending on which chest piece you're using. And then Dying Sun gives you additional projectiles. I recommend doing what I did. By the worst rolled Dying Sun, the only thing which really matters is the charges used, and throw a single divine into it. If you don't know, they can roll up to like X amount reduced, X amount increased. If you have too many increased charges used, you end up with like 33, 35 charges instead of 30 or less, meaning you don't get 2 clean uses. Obviously, getting 2 clean uses is much nicer. Just throw divines into all of your gear. Signal Fire gives you the remaining 50% fire conversion alongside Avatar of Fire, with either from the skill tree or the amulet. One, I'm using Zoth's Nurture. Already covered the bow gives us mana, which is life because it's a Mind Over Matter build. It has more raw damage. It has up to 30% more damage. It has hits can't be evaded. If you want to route your tree differently, you could use that. One, using Blast Rain. Blast Rain also has 50% fire conversion. Should have styled my hair. Blast Rain, it just feels terrible compared to a Tornado Shot. Tornado Shot plays breaches, and it's just better for just actually playing the game. Seems good, man. Let's talk about the skill tree now, and I will talk about the dude whose build we got inspired from at the very end, since his stuff is kind of different. So, there are a few different ways of doing this skill tree. You'll see that this is being planned around high 90s. We're currently level 91 on my character. There's a lot you can pick and drop. The main controversial one, people always like have a go at me when I do this on my builds. These 5 points here give you about as much life as these 5 points here. They also give you a bunch of strength, flat life, and regen. So if you see, we're on 6,029 HP, 6,090 HP. So for 61 flat HP difference, you gain 1.8% life regen, and a bunch of strength and a little bit of dex. I think that's worth, personally. And it does then give you access to more life further on, either 5% here or all these 4% nodes. So I would always recommend these 5 points fulfilling in these 5 points. But anyway, controversial things. You don't need to take phase acro or acro. The guy whose build I originally got inspired from, he only did this. The reason for taking phase acro is for 4 skill points. Instead, you'd be getting 1, 2, 3, 4. You're looking at like just shy of 400 HP. Say 400 HP. Let's say you have a combs equipped, the difference becomes a bit bigger. So if you have a combs equipped, you're then looking at the difference of 1, 2, 3, 4. You're looking at more like 500 HP. But is 500 HP better than 10% dodge, 30% spell dodge? I would argue not in most cases. Obviously, in the case of you getting completely one-shot, having the raw effective flat HP is stronger. In most cases, this is just more overall mitigation. This is up to you. Pick and choose between the two. Alternatively, you can drop a bunch of skill points, instead route up this way. Pick up Force of Nature, Revenge of the Hunted. This is obviously more powerful if you're doing Queen of the Forest shenanigans. You can also alternatively come into Ranger Start, get Life Evasion, Primal Spirit, Heart of Oak. Obviously, this becomes more powerful if you're doing Queen of the Forest. Primal Spirit is good because you're a MoM build, and it also gives you more flask stuff. More life regen is always nice. You can take Mana Flows just for more mana sustain. I currently am taking Mana Flows. The reason being is Blood Rage does damage based on your maximum life. If your maximum life gets too high and you don't have enough mana regen, you start degenning your mana from all the passive Blood Rage damage and stuff, and it means you can't run like less regen maps. So I've currently got Mana Flows, Druidic Rite, these 3 points, and MoM. You also have the option of coming across this way, getting mana and life. You have a lot of options, basically, is what I'm trying to say. There are lots of ways you can route the tree. You can also route the tree down to Lava Lash, Iron Grip, Life, if you end up taking a more strength stacking route, if your gear all has a bunch of strength on it. Basically, there are lots and lots of different based ways of doing this tree. So far, I'm happy with how I'm currently doing things. And 1 or 2 other small things just to mention real quick. The 3 points here for King of the Hill, I have this taken in the live version. This is like the original build creator also did. The reason being is we scale off of fizz, we convert into fire. So you get 2 nodes which give 20% fizz combined. So you get 2 10% fizz nodes. So these 2 points aren't wasted. These still scale your damage. And then the third point gives you 100% crit. 100% crit puts your crit chance up to 10%. Having 10% crit chance means we have 100% uptime on Elemental Overload. Having 100% uptime on Elemental Overload is really, really nice. If you had a tiny bit of crit elsewhere on your gear, if you had the crit enchant on your boots, you could save these 3 points. It's actually one of the things I really like about this build is there are so many like flexible things you can sub in and out of the build, and it's all about just fine-tuning and finding the sweet spot. You see I'm currently at just shy of 5k HP, 2k mana, because it's a MoM build. You're looking at like somewhere between 6,000 to 7,000 effective HP, with a bunch of dodge, with fairly budget gear throughout. Like we can look 67 life boots, 62 life gloves, 110 life belt, Abyssco's equipped, an Essence Storm equipped, 44 life here. The helm is good, yes. This is not that great. Like you can fit a lot more flat life easily on the gear. So this is like fairly mediocre-ish gear. But you've already reached very good like survivability levels with this added into all the flat regen, added into the Slayer Leech. Another important thing to mention with the Slayer Leech, and this is where Waggle comes into the mix. Waggle was the first person I've seen do this. Lots of people have done this. Soul of Arakali. 50% increased recovery of life and energy shield if you've stopped taking damage over time recently. This affects the life leech cap, meaning this affects Slayer Life Leech. So basically what happens is, Slayer Life Leech, if you don't know, too many buttons, your life leech effects aren't removed at full life. So, you hit a few mobs, you're constantly healing, you get hit, you constantly heal through the damage. Seems good. If our level 1 Immortal Cool procs from our level 1 custom damage taken, level 3 Immortal Cool, sorry, we stop taking Blood Rage damage because that's fizz damage, meaning we get 50% extra leech suddenly kicking in. Pretty good. Pretty good. You can also combo it with the Flow Untethered Unique Belt from Harbinger, which has up to 20% life recovery rate on it as well. The belt also has some attack speed. Attack speed is the main DPS function of the build. That comboed with Wed, or just elemental damage with attacks it's now called. And it gives you like a little Headhunter slipstream effect every 40 seconds for 8 seconds if I remember correctly. But you then miss out on a bunch of flat life and Wed on a belt, so you need to like maximize it around your gear where you're currently at. If I was using this, and then I could use this, and my resist would be fine. Currently I can't, and I don't really want to lose the flat HP right now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Have I skipped out anything else important? This isn't a final build guide, this is just kind of like this is what I'm currently playing, so expect a more tuned, more rational, more structured breakdown when I'm more settled into the character. Oh, the other important Pantheon power is Soul of Yugal, which gives us 25% reduced reflect damage taken in conjunction with Ash, Frost and Storm, and Primeval Force give us a total 45% reduced reflect damage taken. With a Dying Sun, reflect is no issue whatsoever. If you wanted to be really YOLO, you could run reflect maps. In softcore, go for it. Hardcore, even with 45% reduced, even this, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're confused as to why we're going Slayer and you don't like this whole like constant life regen meme, if I can win you over, you also get bleed immunity and stun immunity while leeching, and you're always leeching, meaning we get more flexibility on our unique flasks, and you also get Onslaught, giving you more flexibility with your unique flasks. Speaking of, Dying Sun, Curse Immune Stibnite, Freeze Immune Jade, and a Quicksilver of move speed. I've got Shock on my Life Flask. The Life Flask isn't necessary. You can drop the Life Flask. I'm keeping it for now because my gear isn't amazing. When I'm more like 6k flat HP, I'll probably drop this. If I had more Chaos Res, I would use a Forbidden Taste. Forbidden Taste is a Quartz Flask which gives you up to 100% of your maximum life on use, but you get a bit of a nasty Chaos Dot. Currently, the Dot really doesn't do that much to us. It just degens us a little bit. However, if we also have Blood Rage on and we use it, and we were in like a vulnerability map and I didn't have my Curse Immune up, or we were in a half regen map, etc., then it feels rather nasty. And I don't want to accidentally PK myself or accidentally myself, so I'm not using it yet. If I had a Devoted Devotion on right now, I would have enough Chaos Throws to use it completely fine. Having phasing is really nice on bow builds because you can run through mobs when your blink arrow's on cooldown. Alternatively, just use any shock-based utility flask, or a Wise Oak, or an Aziri's Promise, or a Overflowing Chalice for more uptime on your dying sun. Let's now give a few shout-outs to people. Those are Immolates that I've been tracking. Where is this beautiful man? Here he is. So, Moyo Moto, feel free to spam Whisper in game. He'll be very confused. I spoke to him a little bit. His English isn't that great, but this was his base character that I found on Path of Builds. You can see that he's done 1 or 2 different things. He's dropped Chance to Ignite for a Fire Penetration gem. I would argue it's not really worth doing. He said it was fine because you get more damages, and if you look in Path of Building, you do get slightly more damages using Fire Pen over Chance to Ignite. But Chance to Ignite makes the build feel smoother, so I don't know, I just feel like that's kind of better. Oh, and also if anyone wondering how to calculate the tooltip for Tornado Shot, because there's some confusion there. We currently have 140k damages, and then you count how many projectiles you have, and then you add all your projectiles together because you hit them up with all of the projectiles. Seems good. Oh, and for Curse, Projectile Weakness. Projectile Weakness is a much larger multiplier than Flammability. It also gives you 100% Pierce chance. The way we're currently getting our singular Pierce is through Poacher's Aim, which is enough. And then if you really want to, if there's like a massive Undying pack, you just Frenzy, Proj Weak Curse on hit, and then clear everything up absolutely fine. None of my links are that set in stone. We have a high level cast on damage taken, Enfeeble, Summon Stone Golem, because I don't like summoning golems, with Blink Arrow, randomly leveling Immolates. These are my main setup of Tornado Shot, Immolate, ED, GMP, Chance to Ignite, damage on full life, Frenzy, cast on hit setup, more cast on damage taken setups. Nothing that fancy. Seems good. He went for a pretty similar setup. Proj Weak Curse on hits. He opted to drop the Life Flask. He's gone for Chalice plus Dying Sun for more overall uptime. Seems pretty good. And he's just stacking life and mana on all of his gear. To see how he routed it, I'll leave a link to his profile down below. He doesn't go for the full Slayer Leech. This was the main thing that me and a few others weren't too, like, in agreement on. And he doesn't take all of Phase Acro, which, as you've mentioned, I don't think is worth. These 5 points better spent here, as I previously mentioned my current opinion. And since he's using the Zoph's Blood, he doesn't need to come up here for Avatar of Fire, but then you need to say, is Zoph's Blood really better than Abyssco's? Question mark, question mark, question mark. But currently, I'm really enjoying the build. It seems pretty solid, and that dude ripped the build like 2 or 3 times in the high 90s, then kept re-rolling it this league. So it seems Pog champ. I'm Tarke. This has been a very disjointed build update. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them down below. Remind me not to do these videos right after getting out of the shower and not putting anything into my fringe. Have a good day. Bye-bye. I didn't press the stop recording button.